Welcome D20 players. Let's take a walkthrough of Castle Ravenloft. The way I set it up when I run STRAHD Must Die. A one evening, or as I run it, two evening, adventure where the players are pitted against the vampire count STRAHD von Zarovich in his castle Ravenloft. The legendary adventure, the legendary castle, a character of its own. We're going to walk through the main floor of this castle and talk about how I set it up. I'm playing some music here in the background. This is dark and stormy as the characters arrive. When they first arrive, the very first thing I do is say that they awaken. Consciousness returning, racked with pain, rain drenching them, flashes of lightning lacing the clouds, thunder shaking the ground. There is an enormous castle looming above them. There's doors open and inviting. There's also a window watching. There's a wreckage of a black carriage lying nearby in the cobblestone court. They don't know how it got there. They don't know why they're here. Their memories will come back to them shortly. They have no memory of even the people around them. Are they their friends or their allies? And here the players take over. The players begin to try to explore, introduce themselves to each other, see what this castle is. The most likely path is they'll head into the castle, and they will be escorted by the Chamberlain to see STRAHD. But they're free to go any direction they want. If they were to start exploring the castle grounds, they could find the following. They go back towards the gatehouse for the drawbridge, and they open the doors to it. There's a flagstone floor with a hollow tower stretching high above, massive gears and chains connected to the drawbridge and portcullis. Only STRAHD knows how to open this, although magic can disable the latching on the gates, and if they can unlock both of the gates in both of the towers, they can escape that way, if they want to leave. If they proceed around the castle, and I'll be going in between the view the players have here, for example, and I'm using Irina as the token as I explore around here, and Irina is one of the enemies of STRAHD that the players can befriend. There's a couple of allies they can get when they do this adventure. If they come around the castle, they have the outer curtain wall to the north, the castle to their south now, and there's this connecting wall between the two that they will come to. It's jutting out to connect the outer walls with the keep. There's a 20-foot tall archway blocked by a rusting iron portcullis. They can lift it. It's a 15 strength check to open that portcullis. It'll also open with a command word from STRAHD or Cirrus, and unless wedged or propped, it'll fall back into place. I have it marked with a lock here just because it's a strength check to get through, so that they can't just walk up to it and open it without making the check. As they continue around, they can come around to the back of the castle and see a door there. This courtyard is enclosed by towering walls. A slender wooden door, reinforced with iron bands, leads into the keep. A stone carriage house with hinged wooden doors stands silent in the northeast corner. That door is a DC 10 strength check to open the one into the castle. If they come to the carriage house and open it, a sleek black carriage fitted with the glass windows and brass lanterns awaits them. No treasure therein, no monsters therein. If they continue around into the garden at the back of the keep, they'll see boarded up stained glass windows to the west, this garden struggling to survive that they'll arrive into. Behind towering buttressed and tall, boarded up stained glass windows, the garden struggles to survive. A few small flowers press skyward. A pair of large iron gates block the way to some kind of overlook. The gates are easy to open, but they are loud and will create a random monster check. I'll do the water monster checks when things happen, such as this, or every 15 minutes. Just using the random encounters from the book, pretty much. Here they rolled a 1. I roll a 1 and 6 every 15 minutes, real time as I'm playing. And with a 5 on the roll, they run to a broom. So I got the random encounters up here. Out of the shadows comes a broom, sweeping as though held by invisible hands. It will attack them when it gets close to them. After the dispatch of the wandering broom, they can come into the overlook. Dark clouds overhead drizzle constantly. A flagstone path leads to an overlook. The overlook has a low stone wall adorned with outward-facing gargoyle carvings. The Taroka reading, which, if they've started exploring around the outside, you may need to insert, but we'll get to it when they go into the castle proper and we take that part of the tour. It might tell them where STRAHD is. It might tell them where STRAHD's enemy is, an ally, in this case when I run it, Irina. And if STRAHD or Irina are here for the Taroka reading, they're looking out over the balcony. If the party comes up to the edge of the balcony, or at least to within 5 feet of the edge potentially, they can see the view from above. A flash of lightning illuminates the dismal village of Barovia, its rooftops visible above a smothering blanket of fog 1,000 feet below. And I will let the players know if they right-click on this image and open image in a new tab, and then look, they get the picture. This is by James RPG Art. Most of the pictures I have in the castle when I play it are by James. Here's the village below, the chapel below, 1,000 feet down. If the party has someone with a high passive perception and come right to the edge of the overlook, or if they specifically say they're looking along the cliff faces to their left and to the right and below the overlook, they might see a 110 feet below them, 20 feet back, a stone construction protruding from the cliff base with 3 dirt-caked windows set into it. It's a way for them to get into the catacombs. A really hard way to get in, but a way to get in. That is all the encounters around the periphery of the castle. And if we go the other direction around the periphery, there'll be another gate going through the connecting wall down here. And as players, they can't get to it unless they make their strength check. There are arrow slits. They're high. They can peek through them. We'll get to what they see when we get into the castle. Back to how they would arrive at the castle. They're here on the cobblestone ground, inviting warm castles to their east. The wreckage of a carriage to their north, and one horse dead there, another horse missing completely. The reins torn off. The top of the carriage is torn. It's all battered on all sides as if it had rolled to where it is. There's blood everywhere. They will remember eventually that Von Richten was here, and he was driving the carriage, and he gave them the Taroka reading quickly as they got in before they went to the castle. Nothing else for them to find there, so if they finally go in, and this might be the very first thing they do, they come into the first room in the castle. Here I change from dark and stormy, or I make it quieter, and I make my music so it ends after 10 minutes, because often I forget, and I end up with the wrong, inappropriate music in the wrong encounter. So I'll end that one, and let's start with the vampire's castle. The foyer. A vaulted foyer. The first time they're here, overhead, and maybe repeated times they're here depending on their actions. Statues of dragons glare down, their eyes flickering. These are 4 red dragon wormlings. They actually turn into dragons. The adventure has them as constructs, not dragon type, if it matters. Red dragon wormlings are very tough, and they should basically stop the party from trying to get out. They won't pursue the party back into the castle, but if the party goes in the castle and tries to come back out, they will most definitely block them. I don't think there's any way a party of 6th, 7th level characters is going to take on 4 of these dragons and live. The breath weapon is pretty vicious. You can see there 36 fire damage. I do beef them up a little bit. I do 1.2 on the damage, but still, it's going to take its toll really fast on a low level party. So the next room, as soon as they come into this room, the doors further in should open. As soon as the DM can open those for the party. And they will see this entry hall. Music coming from the south, doors to the east. Let's go to the hall description here. Cobwebs stretching between columns supporting the vaulted ceiling of a great dusty hall. Double doors of bronze to the east. Sputtering torches and iron sconces casting odd shadows across the faces of stone gargoyles that squat on the rim of the dome ceiling. I have the gargoyles here. And I have, since there'll be 8 of them in an attack, 2 different sets for action economy tracking. And like the dragons, they will focus on preventing exit. They won't chase deeper into the castle. So, parties shouldn't get TPK'd here unless they just fight to the bitter end. Also, the first time here, there's a lit hallway to the south containing another set of bronze doors through which sad, majestic organ tones spill. The first time the party arrives here, the Castilian, Rahadin, will come down these stairs. You can describe him as an elf with brown skin and long black hair, descending the wide staircase, quiet as a cat. He wears a gray cloak over black stud leather armor, and has a polished scimitar hanging from his belt. "My master is expecting you," he says. He'll lead the party toward the hallway where the music is coming from. Going down that hallway, we'll pass a suit of armor, area 9 in the castle. A vaulted hall, a suit of armor, oiled and glistening, standing at attention in a shallow alcove. Swells of organ music coming through the door, which Rahadin directs the players through. As they come into position to see the hall, and I don't have it lit up there because I had the lights blown out, but I'd have it all lit up the first time they arrive. Go to the lit lighting layer, copy some light here. It's better. Back to the object layer, back to the player view. There we go. Area 10. They see a table covered with a fine white satin cloth and laden with delectable foods. I could probably remove the fine white satin cloth. Always looking for ways to like shrink the room descriptions. And here's like an input on how these things look. I actually have a Word file with all these things in it that I can just quickly read in. This is how I do in an image here that they can then bring up. A table is covered with, don't need the fine white satin cloth. They can see that in the picture. And not even covered with, a table is laden with delectable foods. There we go. Shrink that description a little bit more. Roasted beast, both basted in a savory sauce. I don't even need that. Roasted beast in a savory sauce. There we go. Nice. And I also like to get them, 2 lines, maybe 3 lines each paragraph there. Really succinct. Let the action get back to the players as quickly as possible. Set the scene for them so they know what they can do, but then get back to them. Places are set for each of you, and I hate using a view or 2U in descriptions. I try and pull that out of all descriptions. Rarely I feel like it's unavoidable. I could probably reword that not to say you. Places are set for 5, with fine, delicate china and silverware, and a crystal goblet filled with an amber wine. At the center of the west wall, between floor-to-ceiling mirrors, stands a massive organ. STRAHD is here, playing a thunderous melody that speaks of greatness and despair, and he slowly turns and welcomes you. He asks each player their name, each character their name, invites them to sit, asks them what brings them to Barovia, and finally shares with them that he is happy they accepted his invitation. When that is said, it jogs their memory, and they remember the invitation that they received from STRAHD. You can right-click on this and open in a new tab, so the players can look at the actual invite from STRAHD. They also remember being stranded in a lost village, xenophobic locals, an invitation, a furious burgomaster, his beautiful daughter, that is Irina, warnings of the devil STRAHD, a silver-haired gentleman, that is Von Richten, a frenzied carriage ride that the characters were in, a rushed Tarokka reading, and a monstrous bird, the rock, death, blood, and a crash. And then I'd go into the Tarokka reading. And I also will play this Tarokka reading if the characters think, when they first wake up on the cobblestone, to check themselves and their belongings to see, take an inventory, make sure they have everything with them still. They might find each a card. And I will actually do the card descriptions. I don't do the whole reading of the card. I'll just show them what the cards are, let them, flip them over. Last time I ran it, these were the cards. Let them flip it over, and they will get the card with really no explanation. And then when I come back to the reading, do the reading. So the reading will tell them there's a tome. This card tells of history. Knowledge of the ancient will help you understand your enemy. They have an enemy now, they understand that. And protect you from him. Where do you find that? This was found on the Dictator card. So I just have that here. It's 8 of Swords? Yeah. 8 of Swords, Dictator, I see a throne fit for a king. Then the next part of the reading is, and I also changed the Tome of STRAHD slightly so that the Tome of STRAHD also provides disadvantage on STRAHD's attacks against the bearer. So not only does it provide a little bit of a clue and a little bit of history, but that disadvantage. Then the next thing is the Holy Symbol of Ravenkind, and this is huge. In 2024 D&D, it was changed such that daylight provides actual sunlight. That's too potent here in Ravenloft, and so I dampened the effects of light in Ravenloft, and it's just the power of the demi-plane. But telegraph that to the players immediately. As soon as they do any light, even a torch, describe it as being dampened and not as quite as bright. And if they ever do a daylight spell before STRAHD is here, it doesn't have the power of sunlight. It's a colder light and not as powerful. But the Holy Symbol of Ravenkind will give them an actual daylight, actual sunlight. So this card tells of a powerful force for good and protection, a holy symbol of great hope. Where would they find that one? I believe that one was on 6 of Swords. Find the Mad Dog's crypt. The treasure lies within, beneath the blackened bones. So they kind of keyed in here that, oh, we need to go to the crypts. They didn't know where the throne for the king might have been. The next card is the Sun Sword, another thing that actually provides actual sunlight in this adventure. So these are only 2 ways to get sunlight, which is absolutely imperative to defeat Strahd permanently. This is a card of power and strength that tells of a weapon of vengeance, a sword of sunlight. And this one was in one of Stars, I believe. Transmuter. Go to a place of dizzying heights where the stone itself is alive. Enter the GM there. I have the room numbers where these things are. And then finally they had the broken one. Well, they had the enemy of Strahd. This card leads you to one who will help you greatly in the battle against darkness. So they're finding out here for the first time in the adventure that they need to face Strahd. And that's why when I describe how, this encounter with Strahd should have happened within 15 minutes, if the party goes off exploring other directions, finds other ways into the castle, they should have an encounter with an apparition of Strahd or some other setup like that, where he asks them who they are. What are they doing here? Thank you for taking my invitation. And they read into this. So they have this, they're armed with this information. So the enemy was in the tomb of the man Strahd envied above all. So here's 2 things telling them to go to the tombs. And that's what they did when they played the last group I ran for this for. And finally, Strahd himself. Your enemy's powers are beyond mortality. This card will lead you to him. And the card for that was Marionette. Look to great heights, find the pinnacle of the castle. Something else hides there as well. So you have the card reading. And when you wrap that up, we're coming back into the room now. As memories fade, fierce winds rise up and roar through the hall, putting out all open flames. Ancient hinges screech and many heavy doors slam shut, one after another, into the distance. Far away, the portcullis clangs shut, and the aged drawbridge groans as it raises. A deep chuckle echoes, but Strahd is gone. So now they're left in this room. They know Strahd's their enemy. They know weapons that will help them defeat Strahd. They know an enemy of Strahd's that may align with them, and they can begin exploring. And if you begin exploring this room, you may find a secret door. I think I have that in the description of the room. Down here, search organ, 20 perception check, notice scratch marks on the floor. Pretty tough one to find. I've had most groups not find that. Coming through the door, you come into this room where there is stored mirrors of various sizes. And there's arrow slits out into the courtyard. Travel south from there, and you come to a tower, base of a tower with arrow slits out looking out of the courtyard, and a webbed-filled hallway. A high dome ceiling caps the room. Frescoes faded with age adorn the ceiling, but their images are impossible to make out. Then arrow slits look out to the courtyard. So there's a new thing in the new version, I think, of Roll20 that lets you have something that blocks vision, but you can move through. I think a curtain on a window is what does that. Right now, I just have things I have to manually use to block vision down this hallway. And once I remove that, using regular torchlight, you go down this cobweb-filled hallway. All the while, making random encounter checks as you're going every 15 minutes in real time. None this time. Down the hall, you come to a flight of stairs. And I'm using teleporter pads for this adventure. I'd caution to not overuse them, but they are pretty handy. So the player won't see the purple circle or the main 64D wording. They will see this 0 feet. They will see down 40 feet. And if they come around where they can see up, they'll see up 50 feet. So here's a spiral staircase. They can make a decision where do they want to go. But that's for the next video. Let's go to area 14. So retracing our steps through the dining hall. And out here now, all these torches are out. So if I'm playing this, I come here and I just start deleting torches. As soon as that encounter happens in the dining hall, torches are out. The players are reduced to what they are carrying on them. So now your view is much less friendly. Rahadin's gone. I'll drag him out of the way, out of view. He's gone back to his office, which is on the lower floor. We'll get to when we see him. As long as the party doesn't pass these pillars heading towards the doors, which are now shut, also. The gargoyles will stay put, but as soon as the first person passes this threshold, I'd have the gargoyles swoop down to attack, and they will focus intently on people between the pillars and the doors there. If the party retreats, they will be safe. So they come up to these bronze doors, open them, and they're greeted with this hallway. You can't see very far down the hallway. You can see with the light sources that they'll probably have So I keep that in mind with the room description. I don't have it all. What's in the book? Let's take a look at what's in the book here. So area 14 of the main floor, Hall of Faith. Grand Hall is choked with dust and stretches into darkness ahead. Webs hang from the arched ceiling like drapes. Life-size statues of knights lie in the hallway on both sides, their eyes seeming to watch you. Okay, good. It doesn't give the symbol of beaten bronze that looks like a rising or setting sun. The descriptions in the actual adventure are pretty good in not being too player agency removing, giving descriptions assuming players have done things, which I always try to avoid as much as I possibly can. They do pretty good. I strip it out even further. So here we are in the hallway. Cobwebs hang from this dusty hall's arched ceiling like drapes. Life-size statues of knights lie in the hallway on both sides, watching. So not presuming the players have moved in, not presuming they're watching them, but as they move down, I'll say, oh, looks like you're being watched by the statues. And when they can see the doors at the far end, above the doors to the east hangs a symbol of beaten bronze that looks like a rising or setting sun. This is a good opportunity for sharing information ahead of time with the players. You could give information about old faiths and this rising setting sun being a holy symbol, and give that to a player with religion skill, and then they can choose in character to reveal that information or not. When they arrive in the chapel of Ravenloft, there's a little bit of light coming through the windows, so the room's a little bit lit. You can see a little bit of the north there, a little bit of the south there, out into the courtyard, which is lit up itself, so you can see a little bit of that. And the description has a picture the party can right-click on and take a look at. Open this in a new tab. Beautiful picture by James RPG Art there. And close that and close the overlook. Dim colored light filters through tall, broken, and boarded up windows of stained glass, illuminating the ancient chapel of Ravenloft. A few bats flutter about the 90-foot ceiling. A balcony with a sculpted stone railing runs along the west wall, 50 feet up. Benches coated with dust lie about the floor in jumbled disarray. You don't even have to say jumbled disarray. An example of something I would kind of just tighten the room descriptions even more, trying to get them down to 3 paragraphs or less of 3 lines each or less. Benches coated with dust lie about the floor in jumbled disarray. They can see just by looking, so I don't need to describe it. And I could probably remove that line completely. An altar stands upon a stone platform. Its sides are carved with bas-relief of angelic figures entwined with grapevines. So the first time they're here, there's a cloaked figure draped over the altar. I have him on the map. They can see that. So I didn't describe it specifically. If the fortune revealed something here, the fortune would be on the floor behind the altar. STRAHD could be here, standing at the south. Irina here praying. And if an evil character touches the statuette when on the altar, they're going to take 16d10 radiant damage. That's how this character died. If they, you have the icon of Ravenloft here on the altar, so I should have a description of that. Let's see here. Icon. When the party takes it, when I'm running this, I will generally do it where I describe the magic items. As soon as they look at it and observe it closely, they know what it is and know what it does. Icon of Ravenloft is a story item. It gives 30 feet protection from evil and good versus fiends and undead. Even if unattuned, that's hugely powerful in this adventure. An action to cause augury might be very important. When used as a holy symbol for turn undead, the save DC is higher. And when hold, action to heal 1 character for 3d8 plus 3 once per dawn. Really the biggest thing is the 30-foot protection from evil and good. So massive, massive protection that the party can get to, and potentially some fortunes here. The cloaked figure's got a Mace of Terror, pretty fearsome weapon, and some treasure. From 15, the party can explore to the north here, this passageway between 2 statues. Alcoves hold 8-foot tall sculptures of helmed knights with muscular builds. Black shadows fall across their faces. Then they can go up the steps, and this will actually take them to the next level up, creaky stairs. The staircase is made of old wood that strains underfoot, creaking and groaning. So creatures above can't be surprised. But that's a higher level, which we'll get to in another video. Coming back to the south, stairway here. There's what the player would see, for example, there. And this one. Alcoves hold 8-foot tall sculptures of helmed knights with bright blades. Black shadows obscure their faces. Why these ones have bright blades and not the others? I don't have anything further in that description. Let's look in Castle Ravenloft at 17, South Chapel access. Nothing specific. And you can see here there's more things. This arch room connects a vast chamber to the east and a landing staircase to the west. all the things that the players can actually just see, to the left of the landing stairs, scroll down, I don't describe it. Remove that description. If it's on the map, I don't describe it again. Just saves time, lets the action get back to the players. So here's their staircase. You can go up 50 feet, or you can go down this direction, and there's a new masonry wall here that blocks their path. It can take time, of course, to destroy that wall. Description of this staircase: large flagstones lead up and down around a wide stone core, cobwebs filling it, heavy beams sagging overhead from centuries of supporting weight. There's a chink in the wall to the south. They can, of course, smash it down if they want, leading down. All right, that's 18. So let's zoom back out here. We have covered everything there. The wide staircase is next. If they were to go north, the staircase that Rahadin comes down, it leads up here to a landing 30 feet above the main level. And this landing is, oops, I got a different one there. There we go. I gotta fix those two. 19. Stone arches support a ceiling covered with frescoes 20 feet overhead. The frescoes depict armored knights on horseback, their finer features faded beyond recognition. Alcoves each contain a standing suit of armor, covered with dark stains. Each suit clutches a mace, with a head shaped like a dragon's head. Words engraved on the arches above the suits of armor have been scratched out. There's a pressure plate that you can find, and I should put that on the map in red there on the GM layer. If you pass in front of the alcove, the pressure plate will activate, and the armor will spring forward and smash with its mace and do a little bit of damage. 14 dex saved at the gate. So I need to add that there. So what I will do is on my GM layer, I put all these things for my reference, and usually in red. And the pressure plate, how far out do I think that armor would smash? I guess I could put it all the way to here. Change this to a rectangle, pressure plate for that one, and a pressure plate for that one. That's area 19. Area 20, you can't get to area 20 from this level, but I'll go there to describe it. So area 20, it's dark, it's hollow, it's cavernous, and cold. If you step on the stairs to start to climb, it comes alive. When you do that, as I say here, step on stairs, C20H, then a reddish light flares high overhead and settles into a dull, pulsing red glow. The spiral staircase circles up the tower's immense height. At the pinnacle of the hollow tower, a large crystal heart pulsates with red light. I'll probably combine these first and third sentences next time I run it. Above the heart, the stairs continue upward. All right, so there's that. Now, you're going to roll initiative because the tower's going to be shaking and pitching and try and throw characters off of the steps. At this level, not so dangerous, but if they were to enter at some other levels of this tower, it could get pretty bad. But they can't advance up easily. It's very difficult. They can crawl up. If they get to the very top of the tower, the heart is 190 feet up. Or if they can range to 190 feet, they can start attacking that heart that's up there. Let's take a picture. Look at that picture in a bigger view here. So that's way up there, 190 feet up to that heart. But if they start attacking, then a vampire spawn will come to try to stop them. That's area 20. And 21. Is this 12, 22? What is 21? Click it, see what it says. A chill wind rushes down the circular stairway. Oh, it's one right over here. One of the first ones they might actually get to, 21. And then 22 is another area that they're not going to get to from this level unless they were to, they have to come down these stairs, up these stairs, or through an arrow slit to get here. There's no other way to get to this on this level. And in area 22, we have an archer's post and the castle courtyard. Then finally, area 23, which they can get to if they were to circle around the outside of the castle and come through the door here. They can also get to it by coming up from the larder, which is this stairway that comes up to it. There's some secret doors at higher levels that can get them into area 24 that they can get to 23 from. So some other ways to get there. But if they come through the door to the east and they get here, they get to the servants' entrance. Dim light filters through a dust-caked window. I didn't really get to this room yet, so we can see how I would shrink it. A door next to the window leads to the castle's courtyard. I probably don't need that at all. Everything in the room is coated with dust. A thick book lies open on a desk with an inkwell and a quill next to it. There is a broken door in the north wall, and a staircase in the south plunges into darkness, so I don't need that. And the broken door, I can just say it's opened in the north wall there. On each side of the staircase, a skeletal figure, draped in gleaming chainmail, stands sagging at attention, holding a rusty halberd. So here I'd probably want to just put the skeletons. Let's go and find a skeleton. And I just played, here's the Borderlands. So I have the skeletons from that one, which are pretty nice. I like their, what they look like. Oh, they're there on the map, there and there. But sometimes I do like to put a token on the map layer, because players seem to react to tokens more than, statues in a map, even though it's nothing. It might scare them. So they got the 2 guards there, and those skeletons pose no threat. The door leading to the courtyard is swollen shut. The ancient book is weathered and brittle, but the ink in the well is fresh. At the top of each page is inscribed the message, "Please register for your own convenience and that of your next of kin." Half filled with names, all of them illegible. And then area 24, I think this is our last area on this level of the castle. Servants' quarters. Broken furniture and torn cloth are strewn about this room. Dim light comes from a pair of dirt-caked windows. A narrow staircase with no railing ascends. I could leave that last paragraph off. So you can see I've done a lot of changes to the room descriptions, but mostly in the spirit of shortening them. Moving the things out that players can see, giving them things that they need to make their own decisions. That is level 1. In a future video, we'll do the other levels of the castle, walk through each of them in turn. And as the party is exploring, time will pass. They know STRAHD's their enemy. The adventure starts at 6 p.m. How will they know it's 6 p.m.? Maybe they'll piece that together from dinner. Maybe they ask STRAHD. Maybe they try and gauge it from outside. Oh, you can tell them it's dark. It's dark as night. You can have somewhere remotely in the castle. This is good to do. Bells chime the hour. So the first bell chiming at 7 p.m. 7 bells, 8 p.m., 9 bells, 9 p.m., 8 p.m., 8 bells, 9 p.m., 9 bells. And when 9 bells strikes, this will be that where you end the first night, when I'm doing it 2 nights, 3 hours each. 9 p.m. It's 9 p.m., 3 hours until midnight. Another memory. Kill the devil before midnight or all is lost. The last words of the silver-haired gentleman before the rock tore him away. And that's your cliffhanger for the first session. I encourage you to run this one. It's a lot of fun. I did take a lot of time to prep the castle, but as written, it's pretty well done within the book. The descriptions are pretty succinct, but I encourage you to remove anything that's already obvious from the map if you're playing on the map. I encourage you to play on a map. Let the players explore. Use dynamic lighting. All that's really cool as the players play. I'll run this again next Halloween, so look for me to run it and join in the game if you like it. It's a lot of fun. I will catch you guys all later. Not sure if we'll go up or down for the next video. See you then.